Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter. I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses, or if you're already doing how to grow your business. I got to get rid of this shirt. It's falling apart. So I got a question from someone who said, a guy in New York, he said he got a deal from somebody in Arizona and he's having all these problems with him. And, we've discussed at length how New York is another planet. But anytime you're taking deals from people far away, you have to be careful. The first thing you need to be careful about is that they're really sending you a deal that's theirs, right? They may be sending you somebody else's deal. And the problem with these daisy chains of people doing deal after deal, and I've been involved in deals where there were 4 or 5 people making money on it, is that the real problem with that is that you may be working on a deal that one of the people in the chain is incompetent or dishonest, right? So somebody tells you the deal's ready, and then I once got involved in the deal, and then I found out that it really wasn't this guy's deal, and the deal was not a deal. And someone else who we didn't know about had already contracted the deal. So you need to be concerned that everybody's on the up and up. Number one. Number two is if they're from a state, and they've clearly New York to all 49 states is an issue, right? That's a first right away red flag, right? And this guy who asked the question today, Mendel, he told me that they told him they wouldn't hire an attorney. Now, a couple things just to get in perspective. If somebody tells you they're not hiring an attorney, I want you to kind of think what their mindset is. They are probably a very, very low level wholesaler only, high volume, low margin, doesn't know what the hell they're doing, right? Because if I had a deal and I'm making $20,000, $30,000 on it, would I really care about hiring an attorney that for $1,000 or $1,500? I wouldn't. I'd be very happy to, right? If I was a professional. If I'm an idiot, which these probably people are, or maybe it's not their deal, so they don't want to spend money on something that they may not be able to provide, or they just don't understand what's going on. So you have to be very, very concerned that if you get a deal from somebody far away, they don't understand how things work in your state, right? So for example, I'm doing business in Texas now, and I've done business in other states, Oklahoma, Illinois. There's certain things you need to be careful about in all these states, right? There are also ways to protect yourself in these states. So if you get into contract in certain states, you want to file in Florida, for example. Every county is different, but you want to file like an affidavit or a affidavit of contract or a memorandum of contract. Or you want to some counties actually let you record the contract, and that protects you if the seller changes his mind and tries to sell it to somebody else. It doesn't. Again, it's not 100% protection, but it's a cheap thing to do. So recording fees by us are crazy. I closed on a purchase today. I cannot believe how much recording fees were. I must have spent $3,000 just on recording fees. But in some counties, the recording fee is $25. So to record it, either an affidavit or a memorandum or an actual contract, it's $30, and that's your cloud title. So it's a stupid thing not to do. But if a guy is in Arizona, for example, and he says he's got a deal in New York. So recently, I don't want to say names, but a guy, I don't want to be specific about this because I don't want to get into trouble, but there was a competition, and the guy won the competition by supposedly contracting a deal in New York with $1 million spread. Okay. Well, he wins. And I look at it and I go, first of all, that thing, it is not in contract, right? I don't care if the guy docu-signed something. That's not an enforceable contract in New York. He needs to be represented by an attorney, or at least sign an affidavit that he knows he's not being represented by an attorney. So that's number one. Number two, I'm very wary of $1 million spread, right? And that actual property has been offered to me at increasingly lower prices every minute. And I'm pretty sure I know what price he got it at, and I don't think it's worth what he contracted it for. So you got to understand that when somebody's far away and they have a minimal understanding of your area, that they're going to look very superficially for numbers. So they're going to say, oh, an estimate of $30,000 of repairs. Guess what? What I can do in Texas for $30,000 and what I can do in New York for $30,000 are very different. New York, I can probably do, that money will go a third of the way, right? So I can do a complete gut rehab in El Paso on a house for $45,000. In New York, that same rehab can cost me $120,000. So the idea that some guy from X state is going to tell you what repairs are going to be in your state and know it is unlikely. Second thing is what are the values, right? So he's going to come and give you comps, but a guy who doesn't understand the area may or may not understand it. So I mean, I give this example all the time, but Massapequa, for example, has 4 school districts, right? There's Amityville, Massapequa, I think Farmingdale, and Plain Edge. There's a dramatic difference between Plain Edge schools and Amityville schools. So if you are someone from far away, you would never know that. And you would comp out properties from Plain Edge and say your property that's in Amityville School District is worth this. And it might be worth $200,000 less. Area like West Hempstead, where on one side of the tracks, Orthodox Jews like myself can walk to synagogue. On the other side of the tracks, they can't. There could be a significant difference in price. It could be a $100,000 difference. Very hard to realize that. Very hard. So a person who doesn't know the ins and outs of your area can be giving you comps. Now, there are cities where this is really simple, right? Tom Kroll is a great guy. He used to have Wholesaling Inc. He sold it. But Tom Kroll used to say, I don't know anything about real estate. I just know that, I buy things at a discount. But his area was Port St. Lucie, where it was really homogenous and simple. A lot of parts of Dallas and Phoenix and Vegas are all built since 1980, easy to comp out, really no-brainers. It's not the case in New York and not the case in a lot of parts. So you have to be very wary of people that send you deals from far away because they may not understand the value. They may not understand the costs to repair. And most importantly, they may not understand all the legalities in your area, right? Like, for example, like Illinois, you need to be licensed there, right? So I had a deal there. I had to use somebody who was licensed because if you're not allowed to wholesale in the state of Illinois unless you have a real estate license. These are things that people aren't going to know. So you have to be very, very wary. So back to Mendel, who told me that people for 10 minutes said they didn't want to pay for an attorney. Anytime something comes up that you know is necessary and that guy pushes back on it, and it's not a big expense or a big time issue, hiring an attorney. How much is an attorney going to cost? Not a lot. Or you tell him, hey, I want to go record an affidavit, and it's $30, and the guy pushes back on you. You should be very wary, right? Because if you're dealing with somebody who's not professional and someone who doesn't want to spend minimal amount of money to make a decent amount of money, you really have to ask yourself if this is someone you want to get to bed with. Because if he's not professional enough to spend $1,000 on an attorney to make $10,000, $20,000 on an assignment, then you're or not. So you have to be very concerned. And I get sent deals all the time, and very often, it's not a deal because the person I'm dealing with just doesn't know what they're doing. So you have to be concerned when you get a deal from someone somewhere far away, or anytime you get a deal from somebody you don't know, you have to be concerned. And never take their word for repair estimates or for values. You have to do those yourself. And if you're someone who has trouble with that, guess what? You better get better at it, because you cannot be a successful real estate investor if you don't come up with valuations, or you're going to hire somebody to do it you think is going to do a better job. But you need to be able to come up. That is a skill that I tell people you cannot really outsource. People say, oh, I let my VA in the Philippines come up with values. I'm never going to do that, right? I mean, unless I get some VA in the Philippines who work for an appraisal company in my area. But in general, it's something you need to be able to do. Even if you outsource it, you still need to be able to do it so that you can check the person you're outsourcing it to, right? There are a lot of places where they hire one guy just to come up with valuations. That's amazing. But usually they're not foreign. Usually they're not VAs. And whether they are or they aren't, owner has to know what he's doing to be able to check them. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com or learntoflipandwholesale.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. Likes really help the algorithm. A lot more people are seeing my videos, so thank you very much for that. And please keep the questions coming. I post 5 times a week. I never really have any clue as to what I'm going to say, so I look to your comments and your questions. And you can ask a question about anything. It does not have to be about the video you're watching. It could be anything you have a question on. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered recently, I'll send you a link to a video. And if it's something I haven't covered in a long time, or I've never covered, like this is something I've never covered before, it will be my pleasure to do a brand new video on it. So I thank everyone who's been liking, everyone who's been watching. Thank you very, very much. I really, really appreciate it.